a lot of us will look to a relationship to fill that void. And we do it not thinking about it. And then once we become infatuated with that relationship, or we stay in that relationship for a little while, you get used to it, you get accustomed to it. It may not be perfect. It may very well, in many cases, are not perfect. But then they stay in those relationships because it fills that void. And the thought of not having that person there means, well, where am I going to get any source of love from if I lose this person? Child, I know it's been a long time since I've been come on here to the YouTubes, but I'm back. I'm back in a big way. I feel. And I know I've said a lot of stuff. We all say a lot of stuff. That's part of being human, right? Is that we have good intention, but we don't always follow through. You know, I know I got a few followers on here that I've engaged with that have had their own struggles with their vices too, and back and forth. But to be honest, I got a friend of mine that's pretty close to me, and I feel like my setbacks may have influenced their setbacks. Sorry. I guess there's actually a couple people like that, but one in particular that I'm talking about. You know, and not that it's my responsibility to be the strong force that does it all right. You know what I mean? I know it's not my responsibility, but it's like part of it's like I've been having this awakening, just keeps coming back. Like, get your shit together, Phil. Like, I mean, do you want to do this or do you want to live this way? Which way do you want to go? So it's been tough. It's been really tough. But the good news is I've gone quite a few days without drinking now. I'm doing pretty good, but I had a random thought. I was planning on uploading a video this weekend regardless, but I was like, all right, let me get this thought off my chest. There's something that is talked about quite a bit on different channels that I watch, like Impact Theory and Lewis Howes. There's a few others where they interview a lot of people that have accomplished a lot, or you know, are spiritually inclined, or you know, have come from nothing and turned into something, had horrible backgrounds, but made it work and found success, etc., etc. So, point being, there's a lot of content out there, even if it's not the shit that I watch. There's a lot of content out there like that. That's just the shit that I watch. There's a lot of common aspects or pillars that go along with all of these interviews that I've listened to. Some are different. Obviously, there's variations, but it seems like there's a few pillars that are, you know, clear, and you can look at them a bunch of different ways. But you know, obviously, like what is it? Meditation obviously is huge. There's so many people talk about meditation and the benefits of it. Breathing techniques, which ties into meditation, but it's not as complicated or as daunting of a task as some people make it, myself included, as meditation. Because meditation, you think, oh man, I gotta sit in a fucking fetal position or whatever, or not fetal position, sit in the Indian style and cross my or do the thing, you know, and go off into a crazy world, obviously. But that's not what I'm talking about. So, but it's really not that deep. I think meditation just means like stopping your mind, you know, stopping your mind and allowing yourself to just be still without thoughts. There's proven science that goes into how that has benefit. If nothing else, we got to start on breathing techniques. I do that every morning. Every morning I get up, I go and I watch the sunrise. I practice my breathing techniques, and I do a couple little like mantra / affirmation type things that work for me. That's my one practice. There's a lot of shit I could be doing. Anyhow, there's a lot of pillars that go into it. That's one of them, obviously. Exercise, eating a clean diet. You know, the 5 people that are closest to you, or the 5 people you spend the most time with, is like the sum of who you are, you know, so you got to keep your company, whatever. or make sure your company's, in good people, some shit. Talking, words, still going. I don't ever script shit, I just kind of talk. And I'm also driving, trying to be a safe driver, which I am a safe driver, which is why I'm not looking at the camera a lot, because I'm focusing on the road. Anyhow, a lot of pillars that go into it. The reason that I decided to hop on and say some shit today as opposed to waiting later is one of the things is self-talk. It's so important. And self-talk can be out loud, and it can also be internal. More often than not, it's internal. And I think that that's one of my biggest issues, is that my internal dialogue has been tainted with some kind of a negative light for the longest time. And I think it's, some buried childhood stuff that, I'm not going to get into, obviously. But we all have our shit from the past that plays into who we are today, and et cetera, et cetera. So, but I know that there's a lot of people that struggle with the same thing, and it's like this never-ending circle. You can digest all of this information, all this stuff, like I'm digesting when I watch these interviews or listen to these. I never watch them. I always listen to them when I'm driving. But today I decided to talk instead of listen. So here we are. Anyhow, it is easier said than done to make a lot of the changes. Super easy to listen to it on the road like I do, digest it, understand the principles of what growth is and what it takes to grow and what it takes to be successful and what it takes and what it takes and what it takes. And I've made my little small adjustments here and there. But I think that part of the reason that I've struggled with growth as well as struggled with addictions and vices is due to my own self-narrative. What is it, or lack thereof? What's going on inside my mind, right? And that is the big takeaway for me today. So what I started to do on my drive, and then I was like, you know what? This is the key. So I needed to make some kind of documentation of it so that I don't fucking overlook it. I don't forget it down the road. But the key takeaway for me is, we're going to get some sun, aren't we? Oh, here it comes. How we looking now? Yeah. The key takeaway for me, see, and who gives a fuck how I look, right? I need to fucking, Jesus Christ. The key takeaway for me is that I need to start taking some time to myself, especially while driving. I drive a lot for my work, and it's a beautiful time for me to do this, and that is to talk to myself, but not internally, audibly and out loud, right? And so the way that I see that being beneficial for me, based on all the shit that I've seen and the research I've done, the people I've listened to, is to highlight and talk about what is good in my life. It's so easy for us to focus on the negative. I think there's even some science that, like, the human brain is predisposed to look at the negative automatically. Always negative. Why? I don't know. Why is that? Trying to understand the universe is very complex. That's another video for another time. But it all does tie together in some way. And perhaps that's part of the lesson that we're here for in soul school, whatever religion you believe. I believe that we are in soul school. I think I've mentioned that before. This is where we learn. There's a lot of lessons for us to learn, a lot of growth to be had. Maybe one of those lessons is to learn how to treat yourself with love. So many people look for relationships to give them the love that they need to give themselves. I was someone who did that a lot in the past. Not in a long time. I don't really date that much. Very, very rarely do I date at all, because I know that I need to work on me. It's the most important piece of the puzzle, is to get the love for yourself together. But we all beat ourselves up all the time. And so if we're not paying our own love to ourselves in some way, then a lot of us will look to a relationship to fill that void. And we do it not thinking about it. And then once we become infatuated with that relationship, or we stay in that relationship for a little while, you get used to it, you get accustomed to it. It may not be perfect. It may very well, in many cases, are not perfect. But then they stay in those relationships because it fills that void. And the thought of not having that person there means, well, where am I going to get any source of love from if I lose this person? And the reality is, we're supposed to get it from ourselves. That doesn't mean that relationships aren't good. Relationships are obviously a wonderful thing to be a part of. There's a lot of benefits in relationships. Sex, obviously, is one of them. But I mean, aside from that, obviously, the emotional bond, the emotional connection, everything that goes into it, obviously, is amazing. But if we're in that relationship really because we don't have our own love, our own self-love, that's a problem. And then whenever you do lose that person in the future, which is almost inevitable because you'll eventually break up or whatever, when you eventually lose that person, now you're crippled. Now you're, and regardless of how together you had it when you break up with someone, obviously it's tough, but it's much tougher and much harder when we don't have the love for ourselves. I know I had a massive anxiety attack relative to loss of love from someone, or it was not real love. It was I created the love in my head. I was like, they love me. I'm not going to get into that story, and it wasn't even that long of a scenario, but then it ended, and this was a few years back. This is probably like 5 or 6 years back. But I remember how I felt, and it was like my world had been crushed, and I had a huge anxiety attack. That was actually what started my last real long stretch of no weed, no beer, no cigarettes, no nothing for 45 days. That was what began that anxiety attack. I know I'm digressing here, but I think I'm touching on some good shit. So, long story short, short story long, as I've said before, the big takeaway is I need to start, and we need to start, if we don't already have our own self-love, we need to start giving ourselves that self-love. And I think, and it doesn't mean to pleasure yourself, though there's nothing wrong with that, if that's what you want to do. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about we gotta tell ourselves that we're good enough. And it doesn't have to be in the mirror, even though I guess there is a lot of science that goes into the benefits of doing it in the mirror. But I'm thinking I think the biggest part about it is that we have to have an emotional connection. Anyhow, I'm pulling over for a quick second because I lost my shit there for a moment. Need to clear my thoughts, clear my mind. Emotional connection was what I was saying. So the emotional connection to what we say to ourselves, and I think that you can do that in the mirror for sure, but I'm thinking for me the best option is to just drive. And I'm going to give an example, and this is in large point of reference for me going forward, in a form of accountability, which is the reason I created this channel. But so here's an example. So for me, driving down the road in the morning or whatever, whenever I'm going on my first appointment, or for someone who doesn't drive, whenever you have some time to yourself, I like nature, or at least having nature in your sight. Watch out, little birdie. So here's an example for me. The whole point was to get to here, but here we are. So example is, I'm driving and I'm just saying to myself, you know what? I've got a great job. I've got an amazing job. I mean, there's so many people on the planet that don't even have jobs. They're looking for work. They don't know when their next dollar's coming. So not only do I have a job that allows me to be creative. I have a job that is flexible. I create my schedule. Obviously, there are things that I have to stick to, but I I have control. I have creative control and control of my schedule. I mean, I'm putting more into it. I'm putting way more into it than I was before. That's a little sidebar. But the point is, I have an amazing job and I love it. I've realized that recently too, and I noticed that, but I have a great job. I'm in health. I have all of my appendages. I have all of my fingers, my arms, toes, legs. I'm able to breathe every day. And I'm a good person. I know I'm digressing. Part of this is gratitude, which gratitude is also good. It's also a very important pillar. But back to the other shit. Back to what I was saying. I'm a good looking dude. I look real good. I know I do. I'm a little overweight right now due to not having control of my mind. But I've regained control of my mind. I'm in control of my destiny. And I'm on the right path. I'm in the right place. I have the right job. I have people that love me. I have a wonderful dog that is sweet as all get out. I live in Florida. I used to dream of living in Florida. Think about that. Think about where you were 5 years ago. And this doesn't work for everybody, but are we where we wanted to be 5 years in front? I'd say, yeah. I mean, sure, would I like to have more money right now? Sure, but take money out of it. I live in Florida. I see a beautiful sunrise over the water every morning. That's great. That doesn't work for everybody. It works for me. I have people that love me, including but not limited to my niece and nephews, my sister, my brother-in-law, my uncle, my cousin, friends, and other family. I get to experience my niece and nephews grow, and I live close to them. A lot of people don't have that. I have a great life. I have beautiful blue eyes. You get the point. And see, I'm not a cocky dude. I really am not. Perhaps because I'm in sales, sometimes it may come across that way, but on the inside, I'm not. But I need to be. I have plenty to be cocky for. I have plenty to be excited about. And more to look forward to. And we take those positive affirmations and then we add on top of it visualizations. Positive affirmations for visualizations of the future. Based on building upon what we have. Whatever that is. I mean, fuck, dude, even if I was homeless and I still had friends, but I was homeless, and I know I can go out and make some dollars even if I was homeless. I'd be able to eat food. I'd still be alive. I wouldn't be in prison somewhere or something like that. You know what I'm saying? We have a lot to be thankful for. We all do. So anyhow, this is a long-winded video, but it makes up for all the time that I haven't been on here. I'm going to end this by saying that I've gone... I think I'm on night four nights now, not drinking. My real purpose of this video was to come on and talk about that, but I feel like what I just talked about is so much more important for me and for everybody. But the long story short is I'm not drinking and I feel better. My mind is starting to clear up a little bit more. I'm becoming more efficient as a salesperson. And yeah, so I'm going to start uploading more videos. I'm talked out now. My voice is starting to go. But I hope that there's some value in this for everybody. And I will be uploading more frequently, probably on a once a week basis now that I'm going sober. And I'm serious about it. I'm not doing videos. I'm not saying day one, day two, but I got to show you, I got to show you what I'm talking about. So that's what I'm going to do. Anyhow, that's all I got for today. I love you all and thank you for all of the engagement, the new subscribers that are here. And let's go out and have a good day. Say something nice to yourself today. Be happy. Embrace the earth and have gratitude. And turn off the fucking news. And try to stop looking at your phone so much. Myself included. Love you. Bye-bye.
Trust you white in Reagan. Trust you white. You'll be sorry that your tears will be too light.